In 2012, Carvana revolutionized the way in which we buy cars by creating the car vending machine. Okay, maybe revolutionize is a bit of an over-exaggeration, but they certainly shook things up. You see, Carvana was started in 2012, and the entire idea behind the business model was to make buying a car easier, more streamlined, and more convenient. And one of the shticks of the company was their car vending machines. In fact, to bring this shtick even further, they even made a fully automated, coin-operated vehicle vending machine in Nashville, Tennessee, where you put in a giant coin and then it would dispense your car to you. But in reality, these car vending machines are really just a marketing gimmick, and the car buying process doesn't actually work like that, though it would be cool if it did. Car vending machines aside, in reality, Carvana is an online vehicle reseller, basically an online dealership where you can buy and sell cars. And for a very long time, Carvana did this really well, or at least it seemed that way. In 2021, Carvana was on the Fortune 500 list, one of the youngest companies to accomplish that feat. It was growing faster than almost any other online car buying marketplace. And for a while there, the stock price was going to the absolute moon. It was sitting at just about $30 per share in March of 2020, and just about a year and a half later, in August of 2021, the stock price was sitting at $360. Now, like I mentioned a few moments ago, Carvana is known as being the car vending machine dealership, the place that you can go to a vending machine and you can get a car. But to be honest, this is just a genius marketing ploy, because the amount of business that is done for Carvana at these vending machine-like locations is such a small fraction of the overall business. And in reality, what Carvana actually is a vehicle reseller. Basically like an online dealership. And how it works is you go onto Carvana.com, you find the car that you want to buy, and then from there you can arrange all the vehicle buying logistics 100% online on Carvana's website, from arranging delivery, from getting financing, and all those types of different details. Then how it works from there is the car gets delivered to your location. Because you bought that car sight unseen, you have 7 days to figure out if it's a car that you want to keep, and if you decide to keep it, then all is done, you're good to go. If you decide you don't want the vehicle, then Carvana comes back to your house, they pick up the car, and then you end up trying to find a different car. On the flip side of the coin, if you're not looking to buy a car, you're instead looking to sell a car, you can also do this from Carvana as well. And just like buying a car, this process is done nearly 100% online. And over the last couple of years, Carvana has absolutely exploded, and it makes sense that consumers would love this business model, because let's face it, nobody likes dealerships. In fact, in a recent video I published, I was talking about why dealerships are dying, and one of the big reasons as to why dealerships and car manufacturers are changing the way that they sell cars is because it is becoming more and more apparent that people do not like dealerships and people don't like car salesmen. In a study done a couple of years ago, it found that 90% of people that bought their car were unhappy with the car buying process. And another study, it found that consumer happiness whenever it comes to purchasing a vehicle is directly correlated to how long that consumer was in the dealership buying that car. Basically, the longer they had to spend at the dealership, the less happy they were with the purchase. So of course, because of this, the idea of buying a car 100% online from the comfort of your home, it sounds like a great concept. But unfortunately, as the idea of buying online has been adopted by more and more people and more companies, Carvana has still hit some recent major snags. They recently announced that they were letting go 2,500 employees. Their stock price is down 84% year to date. The stock price has been downgraded by Wall Street analysts from a buy to a hold. And now things could definitely look worse for Carvana, but let's face it, things definitely don't look great. According to a filing with the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, Carvana accredited the layoffs to previously announced plans to better align staffing and expense levels with sales volume, which is basically Carvana's way of saying, yeah, we're not making enough money. And according to a Reddit post that I found online that was supposedly posted by a Carvana employee, internally Carvana is blaming the layoffs on high car prices, high interest rates, inflation, resulting in lower overall car sales and thus sales declines for the company. And keep in mind, these layoffs were announced shortly after Carvana reported their first sales decline in April of 2022. Though it is important to note that though Carvana recently reported their first sales decline, Carvana has struggled with profitability their entire life. In fact, they've only had one profitable quarter, and that was Q2 of 2021. But one of the things that is really interesting about Carvana is the question of what is Carvana? Is Carvana a used car dealership, or is Carvana a tech company? And in doing research for this video, I found that there seems to be an overall consensus that what Carvana actually is a used car dealership masquerading as a tech company. And I think that this is a pretty spot-on explanation of what this company actually is. And the reason why I mention this here is because I think that this dynamic of Carvana masquerading as a tech company when in actuality they're just a car dealership is really important to how Carvana got to where they are today. You see, over the years, Carvana has been able to win over investors with the sexiness of a tech company. Carvana for a while was a Wall Street darling attracting top tech talent, and they had all the benefits of some of the big top tech brands in the United States. But whenever you pull back the curtain, what is Carvana to its core? And the answer isn't a tech company. The answer is a used car dealership with a side focus on technology. And the reason why this is important is because over the last 2 years, car dealerships have seen an increase in profit year over year. Car demand is at an all-time high, car prices are also at an all-time high, and yet Carvana is still struggling to become profitable. And the reason why I think that this is interesting is because the tech industry is beginning to rapidly cool off, and large tech companies that were once considered to be layoff-proof are now announcing layoffs. Netflix, Robinhood, Peloton, Better.com, and Noom have all announced layoffs in recent months. And even larger companies like Uber and Meta have announced hiring freezes or at least more scrutiny behind new hires. These tech layoffs are obviously an indicator that the tech industry is expecting things to slow down significantly. And though I don't think that tech cooling off or these tech layoffs is one of the reasons as to why Carvana has struggled, I do think that the boom in the tech industry that we've seen over the last decade is one of the reasons as to why Carvana has been able to get to where it is today. Carvana has appeared to do so incredibly well until recently because of the fact it was riding the coattails of the tech industry, and by associating itself as a tech company, it's been able to do really well on things like the stock market. But as things are beginning to slow down, Carvana is quickly beginning to crumble. Because when all things are said and done, Carvana isn't a tech company. Carvana is a used car dealership that is quite honestly a disaster. But Carvana has been able to do a really great job at hiding just how much of a disaster it is because the public, investors, analysts have been viewing it through rose-colored glasses. But the problem is, now as we sit here today, these rose-colored lenses are beginning to dissipate. And here are just a few of the ugly truths associated with Carvana. Number one is profitability. At the end of the day, Carvana simply is not profitable. They've been operating since 2012 and they've only turned one profitable quarter. And that was arguably during the perfect storm of events to create a profitable quarter for the company. It was in Q2 of 2021, right as the used and new car market was beginning to skyrocket. And in some cases, cars were selling for more used than they were whenever they were new, selling at MSRP. This was a perfect storm of events for Carvana, and it was the only quarter that Carvana was actually able to turn a profit. The second issue, and this is arguably the most problematic, is the way in which they finance cars. You see, whenever you buy a car from Carvana, you also have the ability to finance that car from them as well. In fact, 80% of all of the cars that are sold through Carvana are also financed through Carvana, and many of these loans are considered subprime loans. And the term subprime loans may sound familiar to you. In fact, they may give you a little bit of PTSD because subprime mortgages are one of the key reasons why the economy crashed in 2008. And subprime auto loans are the same type of thing but on a smaller scale. Subprime auto loans are oftentimes auto loans that set a borrower up to fail. They have poor terms, they have high interest, and oftentimes they are given to people that probably shouldn't be qualifying for the car that they're buying. These subprime auto loans are not only setting the borrower up to fail, but they're also setting Carvana up for a disaster as well. And lastly is the fact that used car sales is incredibly competitive. You're not only competing with franchise dealerships, now you're also competing with new cars and car manufacturers, you're competing with small mom and pop dealerships, and you're also competing with big players in the game like CarMax. And sure, Carvana does offer the benefit of doing 100% online business, but other competitors aren't that far away from doing the exact same thing. And if I'm being honest, Carvana doesn't offer anything particularly unique. Their business model can very easily be replicated, and even though as of right now they're ahead of the competition, I just don't see this being the case for long. And in addition to all of these things that I just spoke about, one of the strangest things about Carvana in recent months is the fact that on the same day that they announced these 2,500 people would be laid off, they also announced that their purchase of Odessa Auction House was also finalized for $2.2 billion. And although there has been a lot of official reasons as to why Carvana has made this purchase, a lot of industry experts speculate that it could be their way of trying to squeeze a profit out of a different business model. Basically saying, okay, Carvana isn't going to be profitable even if we scale it upwards. What if we try to get a profit out of a different business while simultaneously losing our shirt on this one? And me personally, I believe that theory because Carvana has proven to not be a profitable business model even as they scale upwards. So if they can't get a profit out of their current business, they at least could look at pivoting into a different one, and that seems to be exactly what they're doing. But finally, we have come to the conclusion of this video, which is to answer the question of, is the downfall of Carvana, and is Carvana laying off 2,500 employees, is that a reflection of the used car market as a whole? And should we expect for the used car market to fall along with it? And unfortunately, as much as I would love to say yes, we should expect to see prices to fall, and this is a reflection of that happening, I just don't think that's the case. The reality is that used car prices are beginning to fall slowly, but they definitely aren't falling at the pace that Carvana is falling. And I don't think Carvana laying off employees and seeing their stock price tumble, I don't think that this is a reflection of the overall used car market. I simply think it's a reflection of how poor of a business model Carvana is. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.